This is CBS 2 News at 5. We begin with breaking news. A fire, then a powerful explosion inside the garage at a popular bakery in the suburbs. You can see the smoke and the flames pouring from the building. Good afternoon. I'm Rob Johnson.
And I'm Kate Sullivan. Witnesses say the roof of the Turano Bakery garage in Oak Park collapsed after that explosion. Here is the view from the ground. You can see all those Turano trucks in the foreground and the flames in the background. And here's the view at the intersection of East Avenue and Roosevelt. You can see nothing but thick black smoke billowing above those buildings. Because of the fire, ComEd shut off power to nearly 2,000 customers, about half in Oak Park, the other half in Berwyn.
And here's a live picture from Chopper 2 over the scene right now. You can see that firefighters are still pouring water on that building. CBS 2's Brad Edwards begins our live team coverage. He's near the still smoldering fire. Brad.
Still smoldering, right, Robin? Still pouring water on it. As you mentioned, good afternoon, Rob and Kate. At its peak, it was a 3-alarm fire, and all told, 5, or rather 4, were treated for minor injuries.
We had a heavy fire, an explosion, and building has collapsed.
And investigators now believe crews changing propane tanks on a delivery truck thought a tank was empty when it was full. That was ignited by a heating system. So started a chain reaction to other propane tanks, gasoline canisters. That, the Turano Bakery garage. It's across the street from the bakery itself in Berwyn. This all happened about a quarter after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The entire immediate vicinity was evacuated, that including homes and adjacent businesses. The facility heavily damaged, as was one adjacent home.
There was the big boom, and the whole house shook, and I went outside to look outside the window to see if anything was going on, but there was nothing. The building wasn't even on fire yet. I heard a lot of banging on the door, and then that's when the police officers telling us the whole block is on fire.
So I just told my son to run, grab the dog, and leave.
And she has yet to be able to get back to her home. As you mentioned, ComEd shutting off power to 900 in Oak Park, 1,000 in Berwyn. We're right along Roosevelt, which is right on the border between the two. That's where we're live tonight. Brad Edwards, CBS 2 News. Back to you guys.
All right, Brad, thank you.
The force of the blast shook buildings blocks away.
Things flew off the shelves at a Salvation Army store a few buildings down from the bakery.
The building's completely engulfed in flames. The building, some of the houses behind it look like they're starting to catch fire. It's pretty bad. There was a huge explosion, and then after the explosion, the whole roof to the building caved in. Then there were like 2 or 3 other smaller explosions, and then the building just went up in fire. It shook the building here. I didn't know what was going on. The whole building shook over here.
And as you heard Brad mention, the explosion and fire forced dozens to leave their homes.
CBS 2's Roseanne Tejas has this part of our team coverage. She joins us live with that. Roseanne.
Well, Kate, we talked to people who live as far as 4 blocks away who were evacuated because of this. I'm standing on Roosevelt Road. That's Berwyn. That's Oak Park. The fire was on the Oak Park side on Scoville. We talked to a gentleman who lived right across the street who says it felt like a truck hit his house.
We seen the fire start and the employees come running out of the building, one of them which was bleeding.
Did the employees, were they able to make it out on their own, or were anybody carried out?
No, there were three or four of them coming out on their own. They were helping one who had blood all over his legs and on him.
Right. So how long did it take before before authorities were at the scene?
Fast. They were there fast. It was probably a matter of a minute when the first fire truck and squads were there. They came really quick.
Right. And what did they say to you when you were evacuated?
We were outside. They told us that we had to leave the house. There were propane tanks and gas tanks on the property, and that for our safety, everyone had to evacuate the block.
And residents' biggest fears, they tell me, were those explosions, the ongoing explosions at first, and then, of course, the spread of flames. No official word on exactly how many people were evacuated yet, but we know at least 4 blocks. Scoville, we're talked to people from Gunderson, Elmwood, and Ridgeland, also evacuated, and still have no idea when they can go back home. Another note, you mentioned the power cut off. And now that it's really dark, you can see several surrounding blocks are in the dark tonight. Live from Oak Park, right between Oak Park and Berwyn here, Roseanne Tejas, CBS 2 News. Rob, Kate?
Okay, Roseanne, thank you.
Now let's go live to CBS 2's Mike Parker at Rush Oak Park Hospital, where some of the injured are being treated. Mike.
And Kate, when you see the pictures of that explosion and fire, it's surprising that the injury list is not longer than it is. It is standing at 4 right now. One of them, apparently the most serious injured, was taken to Loyola University Medical Center in Maywood. That person is in the burn unit. Here at Rush Oak Park Hospital, 3 people are being treated in the ER right now. The hospital is telling us those injuries are not life-threatening. In fact, those folks should be released shortly. They are mostly lacerations, bumps, bruises, and one man with a burn to his upper chest. We talked to that man's wife in the emergency room waiting room. She said he's doing fine, and they do expect him to be released shortly. When he is released, we expect to talk with him. Reporting live from Oak Park, Mike Parker, CBS 2 News. Rob and Kate.
Okay, Mike, thanks for that update.
And we should also point out that Mariano Turano founded the baking company back in 1962. The company grew over the past 5 decades and now has 4 plants in the United States, including Berwyn and Bolingbrook in the Chicago area.